get into December, it becomes time to look back somewhat on the year that was. This past year was a wonderful year when it came to some of my anime holy grails, series which had not been licensed for US release, or had been licensed in the past and are now getting relicensed. Armored Schubert Votoms was license rescued after spending much of a decade out of print. Almost 2 decades, practically. Further, Space Runaway Ideon and Legend of the Galactic Heroes are now both available for viewing legally after slowly building a fan base through the fansub community. And the Legend of the Galactic Heroes novels have been coming out in English as well. And as of this recording, while Legend of the Galactic Heroes box set is currently running at a price that is dangerously close to a rent payment, there is hope that Sentai Filmworks will give the series more affordable series of physical releases in the future in terms of putting in some more reasonably sized chunks and putting it out that way. But now this leaves the question, are there no more worlds to conquer? Are there no more hidden gems in the history of anime waiting to be unearthed? Of course there are! These are my top 6 currently unlicensed or semi-unlicensed series that need a re-release. What does semi-unlicensed mean? That means series that have been licensed in the past, but their license has expired, or the current state of their license is in something of a state of limbo. And unlike my earlier lists, this is some degree of an order. Number 6, Angel's Egg. I will admit, Angel's Egg is on the bottom of the list because I did a whole video talking about everything I liked about Angel's Egg and my hopes that it would eventually get a legal English language release at length. And the link to the one episode is in the show notes. It's not that this is the show or work that I want to get a US release the least. It's the one which I've covered enough already that I want to give more time for other stuff. Number 5, Neon Genesis Evangelion. Neon Genesis Evangelion is one of those series which has had a long and lasting impact on anime fandom and anime as a medium. While it was not necessarily a lot of people's gateway anime, at least in the West, it is certainly one of those series that shaped the viewpoint of what anime is capable of as an art form, both in terms of the narrative depth of the story that Hideaki Anno and Gainax put forward, and some of the animation in the series. Even where Eva is accused of cheapening out, like on the last few episodes, Gainax did so in a way that put a distinctive artistic stamp on the series. Why is it on the bottom of the list then? Well, because Eva was in print in English for a very long time, so there were a lot of used editions floating around on eBay, in convention dealers' rooms, and libraries, even physical discs available through Netflix if you have the disc plan. It's a show that's not particularly hard to find, though it's not necessarily cheap. What really puts on the list, though, is the English language release of Death and Rebirth of Evangelion and End of Evangelion. The existing release that we have is a horrifically washed out mess, with the visuals basically being horribly, horribly washed out in any scene where there's a direct light source. If you've seen any version of, for example, Asuka's fight against the mass production Evas where colors weren't washed out, then you probably watched a fan sub, a bootleg, or an import. You can actually see a snippet of this version if you look at the opening credits on Bennett the Sage's Anime Abandoned. The clip of the mass production Eva fight on there is the one off of the DVD release. If you see a version where Asuka's Eva Unit 2 is bright red when it pounces over the bridge on the mass production Eva, that's a bootleg or otherwise the Japanese release. Considering that End of Evangelion and the rest of the original Evangelion television series has received a Blu-ray remastered release in Japan, I would hope that getting a re-release of the film for the US now on Blu-ray would avoid the horrible visuals that marred the earlier DVD release from Manga Entertainment of End of Evangelion. Quick little addendum here. I'm recording this several days after the fact. So when I first recorded this video, Netflix had not announced that Neon Genesis Evangelion had been licensed for streaming yet. For the first time ever, and for the first time available in the United States legally outside of used DVD or bootleg channels in about 10 years. Also, the first time a version of End of Evangelion that didn't look like a horrifically washed out mess was available legally ever. So that's a thing. I still stand by this actually item being on my list, though, as far as my list of Holy Grails, because while we're getting a streaming release, which is amazing, and thank God we're getting it, like Netflix, God for inspiring, I don't know. Thank Netflix for that we're getting this release. We're still not getting a physical release, and I would like a physical release, because streaming releases are transitory. And, I mean, as just asking anyone who subscribes to Verve, or the Funimation library. So there's that. And also, for example, stuff like, Legend of the Galactic Heroes, we're only getting the super high-end home video DVD release, so whenever those streaming rights go away for High Dive, good luck with that. I hope you got one of the really super-duper expensive, but really nice DVD releases for Legend of the Galactic Heroes, that sort of thing. So, we got that. I'm glad we're getting the DVD release. If you want something else to take the place of Evangelion for my list of Holy Grails, let me look back on the script real quick. This chunk out. Evangelion, Brave series, Bitterman, Zambot, Hunter, Cross. Mellow Link. Armored Hunter Mellow Link. So, quick explanation of this. I'm not going to do too much video. That bit me looking it up. Armored Hunter Mellow Link is the one chunk of VOTOMs that was not as far both in terms of the original series and the spin-off OVAs, that wasn't licensed with the big Sentai Filmworks made in Japan licensing deal thing, which got them the original series, the OVAs like Palace and Files and Last Red Soldier, and that sort of thing. So Mellow Link is, real quick, a anime series in the VOTOMs universe about main character Mellow Link, whose deal is he is an infantry guy who fights giant robots. And so, as far as the VOTOMs, who fight the arm suits, that's his specialty. And that's a side of mecha combat that we don't get very often, especially in real robots. Mellow Link is still very much a real robot series, like VOTOMs is, a very gritty, serious, real robot series. I mean, yes, VOTOM goes off the rails with the whole perfect soldier thing and the god AI and that sort of thing at the end of the show, but Mellow Link, but it still kind of stayed relatively grounded like that. And Mellow Link stays the same way. And that, I think, gives it a degree of appeal and something very different that we don't see in a lot of mecha anime. And I would love to see Mellow Link join VOTOMs in getting a release, if not by Sentai itself, then maybe somebody like Discotech. Number 4, the Brave series. One of the franchises in Super Robot anime that has gotten a spotty release at best in the West is the Brave franchise. There are two series in particular here that I think are worth bringing over. Brave Express Mind Gain, and King of Braves Brown Gal Gaigar. These two shows feature some very well done animation, and might gain as a reputation for a fourth wall breaking ending that I've heard a lot about, but never sadly had the opportunity to see. However, I have seen Gai Gar, and that show has some awesome over the top animation and entertaining action scenes and exciting characters. Additionally, the finale of Gai Gar, appropriately enough called Gai Gar Final, never got a US release, while the main body of the series did. I would hope a re-release from, say, Discotech Media would be able to set that right. I should also mention I'm including Better Man with this. Better Man was a horror action anime series that had a dark hero character like Devilman, and some real robot action attached to it, and was ambiguously connected to Gai Gar. Maybe less ambiguously if I rewatched it now after having seen Gai Gar, but at the time, I didn't quite spot the connection. Though tonally, the two series, Better Man and Gai Gar, could not be more dissimilar. Gai Gar is a more optimistic Mazinger, and Better Man is to a degree a similarly optimistic, but less and also less apocalyptic Devilman. However, in spite of these contrasts between the two, I remember really liking Better Man when I originally watched it when it aired dubbed on Tech TV back in the day. And I taped much of it, but I missed the last few episodes, so I was always disappointed by not being able to see the conclusion. While the show did receive a DVD release, I never got a chance to pick it up, and that release is very hard to get a hold of now. Number 3, Zambot 3. Before Yoshiyuki Tomino did his more infamous, gritty deconstruction of the super robot genre with Space Runaway Ideon, he did a similar gritty deconstruction with Zambot 3. Zambot 3 is a show that took a trio of young children, stuck them in a super robot, and put them through the emotional ringer in ways that would be unmatched until the 1990s. There's a reason why, in my Let's Play of Super Robot Wars V, I openly mocked a member of the Martian Successors for claiming that Zambot 3's show wasn't dark enough. Zambot 3 makes it clear just how dark the super robot genre can get. Number 2, City Hunter. The animated adventures of Ryo Saiba have gotten limited releases off and on over the past few years, but we've never really gotten all of it. With the success of Discotech Media's standard definition Blu-ray sets, and the fact that we have an audience now who's willing to pay for not only just undubbed anime series, but long runners as well, I think the City Hunter's time has finally come, not just in OVA form, but with all his adventures. Number 1, Macross 7 and Later. You might accuse me of cheating here, but I'm not. I'm really not. For those who don't understand why this one's at the top of the list, and why I'm kind of annoyed with why there's such a long number of works that I'm including in this, not just Macross 7, but its spin-off Dynamite 7, Macross Frontier, Macross Zero, and so forth and so on, Macross Delta, all of it. Back when Harmony Gold signed the deals that allowed them to license Macross, along with Dimensional Cavalry 7 Cross and Genesis Climber Mospeada, to be combined into Robotech, Harmony Gold also went and filed for the international trademarks for the name Macross, the Japanese logo for Macross, and the character designs for the main characters and robots from the show. Quick disclaimer. I'm not a copyright attorney, nor do I play one on TV. If you want to learn more about copyright law, I would recommend checking out Leonard French's YouTube channel. Links are in the show notes, and I'll have a thing on for card on the side as well. There's an important difference between copyrights and trademarks. Copyright can be defended a little less loose, or a little more selective in how you enforce it than with the trademark. You can allow fans to make derivative works like fan fiction and fan art to show their support of the show, at least with American copyright. Put another way, if the Conan Doyle estate has the copyright of the image of a man, silhouette, wearing a deerstalker hat and holding a meerschaum pipe in his mouth, there are a variety of rights that I have as a creator related to the image that I can do in terms of make derivative works. I can parody it by making that pipe a bubble pipe or color on top of his hat. I can also use that image and fair use for criticism or in addition to parody, by using it for talking about what that character is supposed to be, Sherlock Holmes. I can also talk about it in the context of how that image has been associated to Holmes by contrasting it with other depictions of Sherlock Holmes in various canonical works. As a creator, if I was creating an original work, if I wanted to draw a thematic connection between Holmes and this original character, again, either for parody or just by evocation, I could have that character first introduced in silhouette in a manner resembling that silhouette, or maybe not in its entirety, but in a way that evokes it, right? Having a person wearing a deerstalker hat to a connection with Holmes, or to have someone in silhouette holding that pipe. So long as my character, though, is significantly distinct from their character in ways beyond just that image. There's more to it than that, but I'm hyper-simplifying. And if I do those things, I am not necessarily risking a lawsuit. The Doyle estate can still sue me if they want to, but they are not required to do so. If they feel my actions are respectful or additive to the brand, or not excessively appropriative, they can just leave. However, if that image is trademarked, they have to sue me. If my work falls into the category of fair use, that's not their call anymore. The courts and failing to adequately defend their trademark would cause it to become generic and voided. Trademarking something says this image or these words are intrinsically related to my brand, my product, and my business, and I will fight you to legal to defend it. I'm simplifying here. Leonard French has done more extensive videos on this topic, because I'm shortening this to like about a paragraph or so of text on the review. Now, Harmony Gold did not simply file for a U.S. trademark to protect these series in relation to Robotech for the U.S. release. They filed for an international trademark, claiming that effectively that they were the true owners of Macross around the entire world. Not the people they licensed the show from, not the people who did the hard work of writing and animating the original series in the first place. This is not to say that Harmony Gold did no work when they put out Robotech in the first place. Made adjustments to the script, they localized the dialogue and that sort of thing, and hired dub actors to come in, record the dub for Robotech, for Macross, Southern Cross, and Mospeada, the three series that made Robotech. Over time, the trademarks that Harmony Gold has filed for have been eroded by the people who, frankly, should have held those trademarks in the first place. Big West, Studio Nue, and Tatsunoko Productions. The people who actually created Macross. And they, in turn, have filed for their own international trademarks for those images, for those titles, for those character likenesses. Hopefully, as a result of this, Harmony Gold's trademark claims will be curtailed, and we can get the rest of Macross. Now, to be clear, I do not resent Harmony Gold for bringing Robotech to the West, for taking those three series, putting them together and packaging them into something that would be shown on television. It did wonders for helping to popularize anime in the United States. One of the earliest commercial anime magazines, Protoculture Addicts, is directly done the title is drawn as a reference to the first arc of Robotech. And also, for that matter, their adaptation of Southern Cross is regarded, even in Japan, being superior to the original series. If it wasn't for Harmony Gold and the stuff that they brought out, anime fandom as we know it would be radically different. My resentment of their actions related to trademarks, or filing for international trademarks for series that they did not create, and doing so in a manner where you're kind of screwing over the people who you licensed the series from, and the people who did the work to make it. They have, in essence, denied the creators of this franchise the accolades they so richly deserve, and denied the creators of Macross the ability to bring subsequent series that are unrelated to Robotech, but are still part of the larger Macross brand, to other countries, in particular the West, as they so desire. And also to work with other companies if they so choose. If they wish to bring anything Macross related anywhere else, they have to go through Harmony Gold. At least until this trademark issue is cleared up. And because of that, Harmony Gold can go to hell. It is my deepest, greatest hope that once Big West gets their trademarks back, their rights back, that the rest of the Macross franchise can get a legal US release. That US anime fans can, at long last, officially, legally, support the creators and musicians behind series like Macross 7 and Macross Frontier. Not just the animators, the writers, and the people behind the shows, but also the musicians, the performers behind the soundtracks, because one of the great things with Macross is not just awesome mecha action and a wonderfully written science fiction soap opera, but also there is some really great music there as well. But until things get cleared up between Big West and trademark off, that currently can't happen. So, those are my current anime holy grails. I'm interested in hearing about yours. What other series haven't been licensed or were licensed in the past but are now out of print that you would like to see get a new lease on life? Please post in the comments below with what shows you'd love to see get brought back into the forefront. Next week, I've got an episode of Legends of the Forest, and the week after that, I think I'm due for another RPG recommendation video. And this one focusing more, again, as a year recap, looking back, not just doing anime recommendations based on anime or just on video games, but on a little of both. And again, putting a focus on stuff that has come out this past year. So, see you then. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the show, please like and subscribe. And also consider backing my Patreon. Patreon backers get episodes up to 1 week early of this show and any future Let's Plays. Also, please consider backing my Ko-fi. Toss me a few bucks, also helps support the show, and it's not a monthly obligation or anything like that.